Madam Marshal Elizabeth Wittek, Mr. Marshal Grotsky, Mr. Foreign Minister and Chairperson in Office, Rao, dear colleagues, dear members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. Exactly 9 months ago, we met in Vienna for the winter meeting. On the same morning as we started our meeting, Russian missiles rained all across Ukraine. Tanks and troops poured across the border. And we bid farewell to our Ukrainian colleagues, not knowing whether we could see them alive again. I am very pleased to see that you are here today. Before the attack, I'm sure all of you remember, for months, troops have been collected, Russian troops, across the border of Ukraine. A few days before the war, the military attack, we could all hear on the news how Mr. Putin said that the exercise was over, the troops should go back home to Russia. They didn't. We know what happened. Since then, there have been 9 months of terror and destruction. Millions plagued in the dark and the cold, cities destroyed, thousands of Ukrainians buried and reveled. Victims of war, millions of displaced or deported Ukrainians. But Ukraine is strong. Ukraine stands strong. And our assembly stands with Ukraine. We have done so from the beginning, and we continue to do so. It was manifested in our Birmingham Declaration. But we have also continued our work after that. And allow me once more to warmly thank our host, Madam Marshal Wittek, Mr. Marshal Grotsky, and our dear colleague, Madam Barbara Bartos, head of the Polish delegation. And this is also another expression of Poland's extraordinary contribution to the work of OSCE this year. As the chairperson in office highlighted in his address, next week the OSCE foreign ministers will meet in Warsaw. And this is thanks to Poland, otherwise there wouldn't have been a meeting. You have been welcoming host of the OSCE Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights here in Warsaw since 1991. And this year, you have fully embraced its role at the center of the OSCE. I would also say that we from OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, we appreciate very much the cooperation that we have had during the year with the chairpersonship inside OSCE. As has been said here, standing shoulder by shoulder, that's what we also have done from the governmental side and the Parliamentarian Assembly, where we have expressed that the war against Ukraine is illegal. But I would also like to mention here that Poland's leadership parallels your country's exceptional support for Ukraine. Let me remind you, dear colleagues, about all the refugees that have found a place, a home here in Ukraine. But also that you have stand as a model for international cooperation and solidarity in the face of the military aggression. And last March, together with several other members of the Parliamentary Assembly, I had the opportunity to visit the border between Poland and Ukraine. And there we witness how the whole of the Polish society, from the authorities to civil society to churches to individuals, mothers, also young persons, came together and supported those who flew the war. This unity of purpose is needed in all our countries to bring an end to this unjustified and unprovoked war in Ukraine. That is precisely the message from the Birmingham Declaration. And we are united. We stand united as members of OSCE against the military aggression. And we have to continue to stand fast, stand really strong in our support of Ukraine. Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity within its internationally recognized borders are not negotiable. Our full assistance is needed for those on the front lines and those who have sought refugees in our countries. This is part of our role as parliamentarians, and we must remain clear with the Kremlin. Full respect for international law and compliance, full respect for the OSCE commitments, also with other international commitments. And that's the only way to build long-lasting peace in Europe and also trust. It was Russia who started the war, and this must also be convinced, one way or another, that it must put an end to it and vacate the Ukrainian territory that it has occupied. Until this is the case, the OSCE and the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly should seriously reconsider the full membership of the Russian Federation. But fellow parliamentarians, 9 months on, and we face many more months of uncertainty. The tragic incident last week, which caused the death of 2 Polish citizens near the border with Ukraine, is a very strong reminder that war is unpredictable. No one here can say how long this war will go on for and what will happen, who will be the next victim. Despite diplomatic initiatives, we must be prepared for a long war. There is no doubt, however, all of us wish peace. We wish that Ukrainians once again are able to enjoy life without fear. But I would also say that there is other difficulties following the war. We could see how energy prices, high inflation, are affecting our countries. We could also see how there are a lack of food in several countries. And this is because Ukraine don't have the possibility to ship out all the grains that are in the harbors. The war affects the whole world in one or other way. And I must say that it's our duty as political leaders to ensure that this temporary pain does not undermine our widespread support for Ukraine. We have to continue to stand united. And over the past 9 months, the OSCE, we have provided several opportunities to exchange on the situation in Ukraine. And we have been able to hear first-hand information from our Ukrainian colleagues. But I would also like to say here that we need, as had been said earlier, also to remember that it's 57 countries inside our OSCE. There are more issues that we have to keep in mind. We need to think and do what we can to promote peace and stability in the whole region, regardless of which country, which part of the OSCE region we are talking about. And I think this is also one very important issue for us to keep in mind when we have the main focus right now. We need also to have the broader perspective of the whole OSCE region and all citizens inside OSCE countries. But, dear colleagues, I will end my introduction speech here. And once again, thank to Poland for hosting us. And thank you, dear colleagues, for being here. I wish you all very good days.